This is the College Connection Podcast.
Welcome to the College Connection Podcast. The College Connection Podcast is made available to nurses as a resource to promote good practice and to highlight the importance of regulation in healthcare. Thanks for joining this week's show. My name is Kelly Kane, and I'm a nursing consultant at the Newfoundland and Labrador College of Nurses.
Hi, my name is Wanda Squires. I'm also a nursing consultant here at the college. And I'm Michelle Carpenter. I'm the senior nursing consultant here at the College of Nurses.
As many of our listeners know, as of April 15th, 2026, there is one nursing regulator in Newfoundland and Labrador for nurses called the Newfoundland and Labrador College of Nurses. We recently interviewed Lynn Power, CEO and registrar of the new college, as well as Wanda Wadman, the deputy registrar of the college. And they provided really good information to listeners about what the public and nurses can expect with regulation of nursing in Newfoundland and Labrador. So we thought it would be a good time today to share with the listeners a little bit about our new website and where you can find some of those regulatory documents that you were used to perhaps on the old website. So Michelle will get us started and talk a little bit about the landing page.
Thanks, Kelly. So you can access our new website at www.nlcn.ca. So when you go into our landing page on our new website, you're going to see why the college exists. And we exist to serve the public by regulating registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, nurse practitioners, and registered psychiatric nurses. And we establish the standards for safe, competent, and ethical nursing practice. And our goal is to ensure that anyone receiving care in Newfoundland and Labrador can trust that it's safe and accountable. We also have a section there as well called Applying for a License. And across that top part of the landing page, you'll see these headings. And there's renewing your license, standards and practice, complaints and contact, and other important information for both the public and nurses. Also at the top of that landing page, we have the nurse portal, which is our Alinity portal. And this is where you go in and apply for a license or renew your license. Or if you're going to capture your CCP requirements, you do it in My Learning. So this is where you would go in and update your profile. Also, we have Search for a Nurse. So this is where you would go in, the public or a nurse or a manager could go in and see if a particular individual has a practicing license. So if you wanted to check if that nurse has a license to practice in Newfoundland and Labrador, you could go in and put their name into that search engine and it'll come up. Also, it will show you if there's a specialization. So if someone has been designated and authorized by the college to be an RN prescriber, you will see that under specialization. So there's a little icon that talks about specialization. Also, if you're a nurse practitioner and you've been granted authority to prescribe for opiate use disorder or methadone for analgesia, that specialization will be there.
And Michelle, I guess one of the most common questions that we get as nursing consultants is related to scope of practice. Can you tell the listeners where they can find our documents related to scope of practice?
Absolutely. So, we both had two websites, but now all of our documents are on this landing page, and you can find them at this under Standards and Practice. And the goal of our new website is to ensure that it's user-friendly and it's intuitive to the needs of nurses, but also the public. So the public should be able to easily find our documents. So you'll find everything there under Standards and Practice when it comes for the practice team. But if you're unsure of where to go, you can also put whatever you're looking for in the search engine. So that's at the top of the page, and you can type in. So, for example, if you're looking for something on RN prescribing, type RN prescribing in that search engine, and all of the documents, practice team documents, or anything related on our website will be found under that search. But when you're looking for scope of practice documents, it's found under Standards and Practice. And as I said, that landing icon is up on the top. You can click there, and then you'll find our foundational documents, our practice resources, and scope of practice. So scope of practice is found under our foundational documents. And we really wanted to ensure that when we created, our website, that we wanted to offer clear and practical, relevant information that helps the nurses and the public understand both the role of the regulator and how initiatives can help support nurses to provide safe, competent care in their everyday practice. So hopefully it'll be easier for the public and nurses to find those documents. And under that scope, when you go into into standards and practice, and you see that heading called scope of practice, you're going to find that there's 3 different scopes of practice frameworks. There's one for RNs and NPs, there's one for licensed practical nurses, and there's one for registered psychiatric nurses. Now, all of these frameworks have very, very similar principles, but because we have different scopes of practice, there'll be slight differences there, but the principles are very, very similar. So you can go in and review all of those frameworks if you're wondering what is the scope of practice of these different nursing designations.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Michelle. There's also a lot of great information also found on that page as well, that landing page. So, for example, if you wanted to learn more about the continuing competency program, depending on the nursing designation, you'll find those there as well. So you would just click on the one that is needed for your nursing designation. It'll take you into the guides or the documents that are there for you to review. There's also the entry-level competencies that you'll find on that page as well. So the ELCs is what's expected of an entry-level practitioner. So you'll find it there for different designations as well. You'll find if you're wondering about a practice consult, if you're not sure where to go or who to call or what to do, if you ever have a question around practice, there's a page there for practice consultation that you can actually go in, you can fill out the page. And then once you hit submit, then it gets sent to the practice team. So one of us then will certainly review that and get connected with you. And there's also the events page that you'll see there on that landing page. The events page, you'll find news related to any upcoming event that the college is putting off. For example, each year we do the collaborative event with the College of Social Workers. That's usually going to be posted to that particular page as well.
And Kelly, I use the term foundational documents. So that's a new term for our nurses.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what foundational documents are?
Absolutely. So foundational documents, so there is a section, like Michelle said, when you go into standards and practice, you'll see one of your options there is foundational documents. And that really is our professional standards as nurses. So you'll find really important documents such as the standards of practice for licensed practical nurses, the code of professional conduct for registered nurses and nurse practitioners, as well as the standards of practice for registered psychiatric nurses. And those documents, those sets the minimum expectations for nurses in Newfoundland and Labrador. So they describe, what the public can expect of nurses, and they also describe, what is considered safe, competent, and ethical care. So that's what we mean when we talk about those foundational documents. And like Michelle said, scope of practice is there as well, because it really does set the foundation for the nursing practice in Newfoundland and Labrador. So that's a really good link to be familiar with, and you'll find a lot of very important documents there in the foundational documents section.
Yeah. And on that landing page as well, you're going to find practice resources. So these are the documents that help support your practice along with the others. But these are the ones that, we have developed as a college, and they are organized alphabetically. So it may take a couple of pages if you just go into the practice resources, and if you're going to scroll through alphabetically, you will probably take up to four pages to scroll through. But there's another way that you can easily get at those documents. So some of our documents are created collaboratively and apply to all nursing designations, and others apply to specific nursing designations. So what you can do is under your practice team, practice resources, you can just scroll down a little ways, and we have the 4 nursing designations there, and you can click on. So for me as a registered nurse, I could click registered nurse, and then all of the documents that are applicable to a registered nurse would fall alphabetically down below. So the documents are tagged by designation. So they're going to be, as I said, documents that apply to all 4 nursing designations, but there's some that may apply to only one. or there may be some that apply to just registered nurses and licensed practical nurses.
I'm just thinking perhaps an
Yeah.
example of, for nurse practitioners, because they have those advanced competencies, nurse practitioners, the OIT documents
absolutely.
might be something that's specific to nurse practitioners.
Absolutely. So NPs that have been granted authority to prescribe for substance use disorder, then you'll find a FAQ on that, and you'll see that some of the documents that you are like it's web content. So it's all it is that you scroll through when you click on the document, it's all web content. Others will be a PDF so that you can go in to print or save that. Now, you can also print the web contents, but you'll find that our documents are organized a little bit differently. But again, to make it more user friendly, right? To be able to print it off, that information. We always say if you print it off, don't put it away because there's always changes being made to our documents. But, keep it for a point of time, but always check back to our web landing page to ensure that there haven't been any updates. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning of, our podcast today, if you want to look up RN prescribing, so it is organized differently than our previous way that we had it on the website. So now you could put in the search engine, do RN prescribing, and you'll get 3 documents. Otherwise, you may have to scroll through those documents because one is an FAQ, and then there's all other 2 other documents, the framework and the practice guidelines. So, just a different way of looking at it, but, much easier to use. So again, you can go into the practice resources, choose that nursing designation, and they'll all that's applicable to that nursing designation will fall down below in alphabetical order.
Yeah. There's also the About page that's found from the homepage as well. And under the About page, really important piece there tells you all about the college, certainly, who we are as a regulator, what our role is, but also the legislation. So as nursing professionals, when we're out, providing education to nurses, to students, we often talk about the legislation, right? So the Nurses Act and the Nurses Regulations. It's very important for all nurses, certainly, to be well aware of what's in the Act and the regulations, because that kind of outlines, that's where all the rules are around our practice, right, as nursing professionals. So really good idea to have a read through the legislation section. It also talks about the bylaws of the college. So that's where we get our organizational, rules on how we regulate and what the role is of the college and the things that we do within the organization. So we have policies and procedures and things like that. So, in lots of great information there to review the bylaws as well. Information on elections could be found in the bylaws. So it will be really good opportunity to certainly read through that as well. It also talks about getting involved with the regulator. I often say, certainly, before I became a nursing consultant, as a practicing nurse at different organizations, I wish I had learned more about regulations, right? And a good way to do that is to get involved with the regulator. So oftentimes, we're seeking out people, or there could be an election for the board, things like that. So if you're ever interested or thinking about that, just certainly reach out to the college, let us know. And we'd be, put your name forward to the appropriate persons and so on. But yeah, getting involved in different committees as well is pretty interesting and a good opportunity.
Tawanda, it's really interesting. You talked about elections. So if you're interested in getting involved with the college as a board member, check the get involved and the about section, because there's going to be a call for nominations for the first election to the new board. So that'll be in the fall. So stay tuned.
And another area of the website that's very applicable to all nurses with a license is the renewing your nursing license. So each and every one of us with a license to practice every year will need to renew our license by our license is good until March 31st, but the administrative deadline is March 1st each year. So if you have any questions about renewing your nursing license, select renew your license at like Michelle was saying, you'll find renewing your license and standards and practice. So just select there for any information about renewing your license. And also, if anyone listening wants to apply for a nursing license, you can click on apply for a license as well. So all the information that you will need can be found on the website.
It's awesome. There's also the news section, Kelly, on our college website. Certainly, the news section is a place where you'll find podcasts. So all of the great podcasts that we'll be doing throughout the year and so on. That's where you'll go to look for any updated podcasts. Or if you wanted to listen into an archived podcast, you can certainly do that as well. The news section, you'll also see our e-newsletter. So Nursing NL, the regulatory review. So you'll also get that certainly in your email inbox if you've subscribed to get the newsletter. So certainly have a read of that. Lots of good regulatory information, lots of good practice information. And so that's a good area certainly to go look for that. And any type of news releases. So important things that we want to send out. You'll see it there under news release. So information, say, on the merger of the two regulatory colleges would be found in that section. So lots of good information on the college website. Like Kelly Michelle said, there's so many different areas that you can link into, that you can go into. You can even go to the college YouTube channel. We have social media. So you'll find all of that information there. So it'd be a good idea to follow along.
And just going back to the newsletter, in order to subscribe or consent to receive that newsletter, we do that in the profile update, right?
Yes.
There's questions there. And do you consent to receive information from the college? So if you haven't consented, we encourage everyone to consent to that, because, like Wanda said, is excellent regulatory information, but we also share information as well, about other interesting things, maybe some education opportunities. So, it's a really good idea, and things that are in the newsletter can also be counted towards your continuing competency, those learning activities, towards your hours for your CCP.
Absolutely. And just reviewing the website can count.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
learning lots of good regulatory information.
Absolutely.
So I hope the listeners have found this information helpful. Thank you all for tuning in today. And remember, all episodes of the podcast can be put forward to your continuing competency requirements. And also remember to subscribe to our channel. And we encourage you to like, review, and leave a comment whenever you can.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the College Connection podcast. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment or review. All nurses in Newfoundland and Labrador are reminded that each episode counts towards your CCP. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of the NL College of Nurses.